Hello, welcome to the weather update. It's about 8 p.m. on January 18th, 2019, and yeah, more clouds today. What else is new? You can see here's the satellite from there. It was more or less cloudy all day, and a little milder than it has been. Look at the temperatures, and we'll see what the temperatures are across our area. First of all, looking at this map, you can see that there is a winter storm watch in effect for Nassau County, New York City, northwestern Suffolk County, coastal Connecticut, and the innermost New Jersey suburbs to New York City, and then north and west of that we have a winter storm warning, and this is the area here. Once you go into interior Connecticut up toward Danbury, the Hudson Valley, northwestern New Jersey, this is where they're going to see over 6 inches of snow, and that is why they've got a winter storm warning in effect. All right, this is for the storm that's going to hit us on late Saturday night into Sunday. So right now, 35 degrees at Farmingdale Airport, and you can see here that we are at 35. It did hit 40 at Farmingdale today, and we'll take a look at Tom's River as well and see how warm it was there. I'm sure it's warmer there. We'll make a bet it's warmer there. Let's see. Let's see if it is warmer there. Waiting for it to load, of course. It's always hung up on this. Always hangs up. Let's try it again. I don't know what. There we go. Actually, it's a little colder there. 30 degrees. And what was their high? 39. It's actually a little cooler there. Some fog and mist. No, that's weird. Something's usually always warmer. Anyway, let's go and look at the models. Let's see the general pattern we're in now. The polar vortex, which you're going to hear a mention of, I want to actually go over that with you a little bit later on in this video. Well, I can go over it with it now before I get started, because what's going on is the polar vortex has split. Now, the polar vortex is something that goes around the pole, like a jet stream of sorts, and it has split into three parts because there was a bubble of warm air in the stratosphere, and that's why we're seeing the cold air come down. Basically, it's very technical, so I'm not going to really bore you with that. But anyway, let's look at what's going to happen. Here's our next storm here. You can see it getting together, and it's going to bring a lot of heavy snow over parts of the Midwest, further south, heavy rain, and then that moves northeast. But you can see the track is just about over us, or a little bit toward the northwest of New York City. So that means it will be mostly rain for us. It may start as a little light snow, but I think it quickly goes over to rain, and then maybe a little light snow on the back end, but I don't really see that much occurring in our area. And then the really cold air comes straight down from Hudson Bay. Here's the high pressure. Look at those isobars. You can see it's coming straight down from Hudson Bay. And then after that, we have another system that kind of rides off to the west, and a front that tries to make a throw on Wednesday, but then that front stalls out, and this could provide the next opportunity for a possible precipitation event, and this would be Thursday. You can see here that there is a low pressure system that has developed, and this is kind of far, and we'll take one storm at a time, but I just want to show you the general pattern. And you can see again that trough in the east, so you can clearly see, look at that, that looks like a really cold air mass coming down there for around the end of the month there, January 30th. So we're going to have a lot of cold air and maybe some more chances for snow, but this storm for this weekend will not be a big snowmaker for us. All right, but I do want to look at the temperature anomaly here, and you can see here, take a look at this. See what I mean? Look at all that cold air coming straight down. So you know it's going to be absolutely frigid come the end of the month here. We're going to have some very cold air coming down for sure. So that's one cold air, and then the outbreak for after Sunday here, this one. The second one actually looks a lot more intense than this one, but this one will also be pretty intense as well. So let's take a closer look at our area here. You get the general idea. We have winter. It is going to be colder than normal for the next at least couple of weeks, if not right through February. But let's go and go back to the precipitation here and see how our storm looks on the various models. So again, we start with the GFS, and you can see it's tracking it over us. This is the 18Z run over us. Look at all that heavy rain, but we're not going to really see much snow in our area. You can see that heavy rain is pretty much over our area, and then that leaves, and then it just it basically leaves, and we don't really see any snow at on the back side of it. But what we will see is very cold temperatures. So if we look at the current temperature, and the wind will also be very windy, so the wind chills will probably be come Monday morning and Monday, probably single digits to around below 0 wind chills. But hopefully we'll have some clear skies. I'm not going to look at the sky because it's too early. It's too far in advance for the model to really pick up on that. But hopefully we have some clear skies, even though it's going to be rough out there. You can see here temperatures only in the teens on Monday. They recover a bit on Tuesday to the upper 20s. Then it goes up to the 40s on Wednesday. And then Thursday you see that front come through, but that front gets kind of hung up. So we'll see again what happens with that. That's far in advance, and like I said, we got to take one storm at a time. Let's first take a look at tomorrow. So you can see we're in the 30s, we're average, and you can see that surge of warm air. It gets us into the 50s Sunday morning. So that would mean rain for most of us, for sure. That would mean rain. So it looks like a more of a heavy rainstorm than anything else. Though the media seems to be making a big deal out of it again. I don't really see. If we go and we look at the total snowfall, you can see it's really nothing for us on the GFS at all. Nothing. It's the rainfall that's going to be the big thing here. So if we look at the rainfall, you'll see here that we look at the total rainfall. You will see here that we have quite a bit of rain falling, some 2+ inch amounts. So definitely over an inch is a bet here. Over an inch is definitely over an inch of rain, maybe 2 inches. Could be some flash flooding, according to this model. So it's something to keep an eye on. I think the flooding threat is more of a threat for Long Island than the snow, in my opinion, due to this heavy rain that we will be having. So let's take a look at the NAM. We'll jump right over to the NAM because the NAM also gives us a lot of heavy rain too. Look at all that heavy rain across our area here. Again, this is the 18Z. You could see over 2 inches of rain across a lot of Long Island, New York City, and New Jersey. So again, that flooding threat is going to be, I think, significant. I don't see, and again, if we'll look at the snowfall here and see what the NAM has. All right, see now the NAM is a little more interesting. It actually gives the North Shore over a foot. So I'm not even buying this, but it's possible. But this could be a big problem because if it's a foot of snow and then heavy rain, that could cause some really bad flooding. So something you have to keep in mind, there could be a really tight gradient. It gives Toms River nothing. So this is something to keep in mind on. I guess the NAM, they're looking at the NAM. Let's see why the NAM is doing that, why it's giving the North Shore so much more snow than the GFS. Yeah, see what it has, and here's the issue with the NAM. It has a lot of heavy snow right before changeover, sometime around midnight, Saturday night, goes to a mix, and then we get into the heavy rain. So that's the threat. Again, I think it'll be flooding. I think the NAM's totals are a little overdone. I don't think we're going to see that much. Certainly given the temperatures, but it's something to bear watching that the North Shore of Long Island could, I guess, theoretically get into that snow, but I just don't see it. I don't see it with the way the temperature profile is. It could be. If it does get heavy, it'll be in the middle of the night, and then by the morning it'll be rain, and most of the snow will be off the roads, and we're just going to have a lot of flooding. That's the concern. And then that moves out. You can see just a really intense line. It's another very strong storm across our area here. Very strong storm indeed. So let's take a look at the temperature profile and see what we have here. So yeah, it starts off a little below freezing, and then that warm air surges in. NAM doesn't get it quite as warm. Gets it up into the around 40, upper 30s to around 40. So there's a difference between the NAM and the GFS as far as the temperature profile goes. NAM is a lot colder, and that always is a tendency. And then look what happens by Monday morning. Temperatures only around 0. Yeah, that's pretty cold. That is pretty cold. All right, so now let's look at the Icon model. This is the other model, another model that we can look at here and see what's going to happen here with our storm. Let's just back it up, and you can see here it comes, and the Icon seems to set up. Yeah, it pretty much has it rain as well. Pretty much very little snow over Long Island, and mostly has this really heavy rain. Look at that bullseye, heavy rain right over central Long Island there on the ICON model, and then that storm, it's going to rain for a while. It's going to rain right through early, probably after midnight, right through on the Icon, right through the early afternoon. So that's going to be a lot of rain, and that's the concern, that we're going to have a lot of flooding, and then that pulls away, and then we get into the cold air. And actually, this air is going to be so cold, the concern is that a lot of the water on the roads will flash freeze, so things will be slippery come Sunday night. And the other thing is that's going to happen. The air is so cold that when this cold air moves over the warmer than normal ocean waters, it's going to create, if obviously this is for mariners, but there are going to be snow squalls offshore, and maybe some sea smoke too, which is a phenomenon when it really gets very cold. So that's you can see here. It's going to be quite a change. So let's take a look and see what the total now. Let's see. This does have a total snowfall, so let's take a look at that. So the ICON model has the snowfall of, I would say, an inch or so on Long Island, and then again you got to go much further upstate. So the ICON and the GFS seem to have the track more a little more northwest, whereas the NAM has it colder. And this is the NAM because the NAM always has a cold bias, but sometimes, as we've learned, we can't always discount what the NAM says. Sometimes the NAM is correct. But I'll have to wait for a couple more runs and have it in the next weather update tomorrow and see what's going to happen here. Now let's take a look at the total rainfall from this. Yeah. Yep, so there you go. That bullseye of heavy rain right over Long Island there. Could be 2, maybe even 3 inches of rain in certain spots. And that bullseye goes into New Jersey as well, northern part of, more like central New Jersey it goes into. And then another bullseye over Cape Cod. So, yeah, this is going to be quite a storm. And, again, you have those warmer than normal ocean temperatures that, are fueling giving the storm its energy. So, that also helps, I think, favor the rain aspect because the cold air doesn't come in until after the storm. The cold air was already here, it would be a totally different story, but it's not. So let's go and look at another model. Let's see if we can look at some more models here. Let's get the RGEM. Let's see if the RGEM goes far enough out. Yeah, it goes far enough out too. So RGEM, again, is the heaviest rain over Long Island. Let's take a look at its reflection. So here is the storm approaching again. Precipitation starts a little early. It starts all around mid. No, it does start earlier. It starts on this model. It starts around 7, 8 o'clock. Starts off as rain, maybe a little snow on the North Shore here. So this model looks a little colder again. It has heavy snow, possibly along parts of the North Shore, the Bronx, Connecticut, Hudson Valley. So that line's a lot closer. It's a colder track, but again, for most of Long Island, it's raining. Look at that heavy rain there. That is some really serious heavy rain falling across Long Island Sunday morning. And another batch again later. So this could really cause a lot. This could cause a ton of flooding, this heavy rain. That is quite a bit of heavy rain there. I'm curious to see what the temperature reflection is. We'll look at that in a moment. But that is quite a bit of heavy rain there. And you can see it almost tries to form something else on the backside. This is the RGEM, so it might be a little overdone. It's not a model that's like one of the most reputable models, but it's good to go over everything, see where it has everything. So let's take a look at the temperatures and see how warm it gets it across the area. So we can see, yeah, it brings it into the 50s. So yeah, it brings it into the 50s. So it has probably a strong low-level jet developing, which would definitely bring the temperatures into the 50s, and then it just drops like a rock once we get into Sunday night. That is quite warm. I'm curious at the dew point. Let's see. I don't know if this one has dew point on it. Actually, I don't think this one does. So if we want to look at the dew point, we would have to go back to the GFS for that. Let's take a look at the dew point on that and see. So yeah, it doesn't really get I wouldn't say, yeah, you see that wind coming right out of the south. That's the point. That's why it's going to bring heavy rain right off the south, off that warm water. We're going to look at the ocean in the next clip. But you can see once that gets out of here, boom, the cold air comes right in. And it is cold. Look at this. We're struggling to reach 10 degrees on Monday afternoon. So it's going to be a very, very cold day on Monday. I guess I'll look at the cloud. So it does have some clouds around. I hope not, but does have some clouds around Monday. That's that model. But again, this is far in advance. Let's go to the Canadian. I guess I can look at the Canadian. That'll be the last one I'll look at. This model is really not the model to use at all. But we'll go ahead and use it just to show you, the Canadian. Even the Canadian, which has a tendency to have a cold bias sometimes, also has us mostly rain. So I think it'll be mostly rain, as it gives us a little snow on the back end. But I think It's going to be mostly rain for us, but I'll have a more fine-tuned forecast for you tomorrow when I get some more models in. Because the problem is we still don't have HRRR doesn't go that far out. It only goes out 18 hours, and the HDRPS, which is the other model, well, that one actually does go out far enough. So we can look at the HDRPS too, I guess. And see how that plays out. So yeah, HDRPS also has us mostly rain, and look at the heavy rain. Look at those reds over Long Island. So there's a potential for a very heavy rain event, and I'm actually quite concerned about that. Looking at these models now, let's take a look at the total accumulated precip on that. Yeah, it has us reaching 2 to 3 inches of rain on Long Island again. That is extremely impressive. Alright, so the final part of this weather report, we will be looking at the Earth Knowledge School site, and I'll show you what is called the polar vortex here, just to explain to you what it is. Now you could see that there are 3 distinct slopes, one over here, and maybe one over here. Alright, so it's split into 3 ways because there was a stratospheric warming event that aids to split this up. And so this lobe here is what's going to be diving down across the country, and if we push this up a couple of days, I'm going to try to find that in one day, because this actually does use the models. 2 days. All right, there. 120. All right. Get this out of the way. You can see it diving down. Look at that. You can see it diving down across, and this is going to be the cold air coming in. So I did want to show you that. It's pretty interesting to look at, and you can see here. You can see again, there's the storm right there, and there's that in that trough. There's the cold air coming down. So very strong jet stream. Yes, the jet stream is back. I'll enjoy it while it lasts, I guess. But I want to actually take a look at the ocean temperatures. That's really what I want to look at, and take a look at the sea surface temperature anomaly. And this isn't. Oh, we have to actually move this back to. No, actually, no. We got to do this current. We got to go to now. Yeah, there we go. All right, so because it can't forecast that, and I'll just show you the anomaly here. And we still have this really warm water off the east coast right here, and this adds fuel to these storms. So when these storms get over this really warm water, getting a little closer here. When the storms get over this really warm water, they're going to explode. So once the storm gets offshore and hits this really fiery hot. The anomaly on this is, let's see, it says, I'll move this over so you can see that, 5.9 degrees Celsius. So that water where that green circle is almost 6 degrees Celsius. That's over 10 degrees Fahrenheit above normal. So that's how crazy it is. And what's weird is you have water that's warmer than normal right next to water that's this one's actually colder than normal. So we have some interesting setups here, and this, like I said, this conveyor of just warm water. Look at this, 10.5 degrees Celsius. This is the ocean absorbing all the extra heat that we're in the atmosphere, and therefore it is warmer than normal and providing energy for the storms, and that's why you see that. So actually, I'm gonna go make this, and we're gonna move this back to just the regular sea surface temperature and show you what that is, and that'll be the last part of this video, right? So let's put this away here, and we will take a look at the sea surface temperature in this zone right here. And this zone is, let's see, Ocean City is over here, so give or take maybe 100 miles east of Ocean City. The water temperature is 24.3 degrees Celsius. That's in the 70s. All right, that's crazy warm. That should not be that warm, because this is the Gulf Stream, but the Gulf Stream is getting warmer and stronger than it's supposed to be. And look this far north, 23.6. So if we go off the coast here, fortunately, that's further away from us. If we go off the coast, say about 50 miles south of Montauk Point, it's about 50 miles south. Water temperature 7.6 degrees Celsius. It's still above normal. That's still, I believe, in the upper 40s or low 50s. That's too warm for the winter time. We have to go further closer to the shore, where you have the influence of the land, to get water temperatures that are more in line with what they're supposed to be in the 40s. That's 5.6 degrees Celsius. So, but you have that cold air going over this warm water, even at 5.6 degrees Celsius. It's going to cause a lot of storminess just offshore. So you'll probably look offshore on Monday morning, and it might be clear over the land, but if you look out to the sea, you'll just see mountains and mountains of clouds. and probably see smoke too. It will be rather interesting. But anyway, that is going to wrap up this video. Should have another update for you tomorrow night. I want to wait for more miles to come in, and maybe I'll make a forecast, but I really don't see much snowfall happening here. And unfortunately, getting rainfall results from the Weather Service is going to be hard thanks to the government shutdown, which I'm not going to rant on here. So that's going to be it. Thank you for watching.